for the future. See if folks are coming in. We'll give people a few minutes to arrive. It's not actually 10 o'clock yet. I mean, 7 o'clock yet. Sorry. Good evening and welcome. We're going to get started in just a minute. Give it another minute because it's not quite 7 o'clock. Oh, now it's 7 o'clock. All right. All right, let's get started. Good evening. I'm Glenn Phillips, Executive Director of the Golden Gate Bird Alliance, and it is my pleasure to welcome you to our monthly speaker series. Thank you for joining us, and we're super excited to hear from our guest speaker, Chelsea Connor. As a reminder, put your any questions you have will go in the chat, and we'll hold the Q&A for after the presentation. So feel free to let us know where you're from, where you're dialing in from, or zooming in from, and we're gonna have a few announcements, and then we'll get on with our Chelsea's presentation. If you're coming to us for the first time, welcome. We're so happy you could join us. We are so grateful to be able to offer free public events like this one. Um, it's the support of our members that makes events like this possible. If you're not already a member, now would be a really good time to join. You can take your phone out and snap a quick grab the QR code on the screen and become a member, or you could click on the link in the chat. That'll uh, take you right to our membership page. And we really hope that if you're not already a member, that you will join to support our work to protect birds across the Bay Area. There is still room to register for many of our summer classes. We're actually offering more classes this summer than we've done before. So I hope that there's a demand because we've got some really great programs coming up. So Bird City is our beginning birding in San Francisco program is going to start this summer. There's an eBird and other tools program, creativity in birds. I'm super excited about Maureen's avian anatomy class. These are all, from whether it's your creative side, building confidence in using eBird. There is a class for all of us bird nerds, and I hope that you'll check them out. And remember, as a member, you get a 20% discount on all of our classes. From the LA Times, legislation passed last year was allowing federally recognized tribes to practice cultural burning freely once they reach an agreement with the CNRA, the California Natural Resources Agency, and with local air quality officials. And Northern California's Karuk tribe, which is the second largest in the state after the Yokut, became the first tribe to reach such an agreement just this past February. We are so thrilled to learn of this latest development supporting and strengthening the recognition of indigenous land stewardship and ecological practices. This is really, I mean, cultural burning is really critically important. With the suppression of that has pretty seriously degraded habitat across the state. And so we're really hopeful that this is a movement that will help create a more resilient, a more biodiverse future for the state. Oh, I'm going to hand this on to Eric, who is representing the travel desk today.
Hi, everybody. I hope many of you received our mailing that went out last Friday. We are announcing our travel programs for next year. This year is already full. Everything is full this year. And next year is actually starting to fill up, and we're busy programming for 2027. So these are some of the offerings we have. We've got both domestic and international programs. We are very competitive. And if there are places that we're not currently going that you're interested in going to, send us an email, and we'd be willing to talk to you about that and see if we can set up a trip to that place. So please go online, look at our latest offerings. As I say, we've got some great trips coming up. Some of them are repeats. The ones at the top are repeats. Costa Rica is new. Tasmanian endemics are new. And we'd love to hear from you and talk to you about the birding trip of your dreams. Thank you very much.
Hmm. I was just talking with somebody recently who had been to Tasmania, and they said it was one of the most spectacular trips they'd been on, and that they were particularly impressed because there are really many of these endemic species are also endangered, and the government and people of Tasmania have really worked hard to try and help restore these species, and so there's a lot of great conservation work happening there that it's a great opportunity to both see really rare birds and to support bird conservation.
Yeah, and on this particular trip, Glenn, you'd see all of the, and you just almost guaranteed all the endemics, plus some very charismatic animals.
Yes. Next month, we will be joined by Aaron Heyman, a senior environmental scientist at the Wildlife Conservation Board, who formerly worked for the Sacramento San Joaquin Delta Conservancy. Aaron will be talking with us about the connections that created and defined the Delta from its formation to its ecology and biodiversity. The talk will also explore some of the ecological and social complexity the Delta embraces and faces. So that will be next month, Thursday, June 26th. Look forward to seeing you all be online. Look forward to seeing you all there. And it is now my great pleasure to introduce Chelsea Connor. Chelsea is a co-founder of Black Birders Week. She's a 2024 Golden Gate Bird Alliance Birding for Everyone Fellow and a Master's of Science candidate at San Francisco State University. She's also an incredible visual artist. She hopefully will share her Etsy site. She's done some great work, and it's really fun to see. I'm glad she shares that with us. Today, she's going to be sharing her thoughts and perspectives on nest building. Not on bird nests per se, but rather the spaces that we build to create a lasting community with our fellow birders. Chelsea, she's here, I know. There we go. All right, let me stop my share. Let you share.
All right. Thank you for that great introduction. I feel like it was neglectful on my part to forget to include the Birdathon logo just in case, people haven't seen it. I did the Birdathon logo this year. I was really happy to be able to do that. Let me share my screen here if it will let me. There we go. Bear with me, my computer has been through a lot. I had to run like 5 different programs for my master's project. All right, there we go. Do you see that? Yeah?
We're good.
No?
You're
Okay.
good.
All right. So thank you so much again for joining us tonight to talk about nest building. Um, I'm gonna start with an introduction. I'm gonna keep it much shorter than I was really planning to, since I already got an amazing introduction. This is me. I'm from the Commonwealth of Dominica in the Caribbean. That's where I started birding. So I've been birding since I was a teen. My mom got me my first ever bird guide for all the birds on my island, and I miss them. Hopefully, I get to see them again soon. But this middle picture is me back home trying to see these endemic parrots we have. We have 2 endemic parrots. Incredibly hard to see them. Love seeing them every time I get to though. So, community. Without community, there is no liberation. The theme for Black Birders Week this year, it starts on May 25th. The theme is grounded in community. So today I will be talking to you about how we can begin to build just that, community. Before we get into building human communities, I actually do want to talk a little bit about bird community. So as we know, there are many species that are communal, like the one on screen here. And if you don't know what this structure is, it is the communal nest of the sociable weaver. An incredibly fitting name for the a Southern African bird, because like within this mass right here, we have lots of different like individual nests referred to as apartments, and they can have up to like 400 of them for each couple. And if you can't make it to Africa to see them, San Diego Zoo does have a colony. So here's a look at the underside of that, and they build and improve on these nests all year long. They make the apartments better, they make the entire birdominium better for everyone. And these colonies are climate controlled because they're in the desert, so they're cool. They don't need to drink a lot of water. On cold nights, multiple birds huddle together in an apartment to keep warm. And then the young don't tend to leave home when they fledge. They simply move next door and then they help their parents raise the next brood. Not only do they provide apartments for their own kids, many other bird species find a home in this colony. There's the rosy-faced lovebirds, pied barbet, familiar chat, ashy tit. Yes, those are all real bird names. And then there's the pygmy falcon, the least intimidating falcon I've ever seen in my life. But more than this, even mammals benefit from these colonies. They find refuge in the shade that they provide in the heat of the desert. So what about us? The first step to creating a community is finding a shared interest, passion, or hobby. There's a lot of reasons to build community and a lot of ways you can go about it. I'm gonna try to focus on some parallels from the nest building we just looked at from the triple weavers. Disclaimer, it's not a one-to-one comparison, but as birders, we already know what our shared interest is. We like to go outside and look at birds and go, wow, that was a good bird. But how do you build from there, especially in a hobby where people who look like me are marginalized? How do you reach out? Well, for me, the first step is creating a safe space. As a hobby, the essence of birding is standing in a most likely grassy area in the middle of nowhere with binoculars. And for people of color, that often makes you look like a threat or a criminal to some people. But birding in a group provides safety or shelter, so to speak. And that needs to be complemented with empathy. I can't tell you the number of times I've been out on birding field trips and I've gotten questions like, do you know what you're looking at? Do you know how to use your binoculars? Do you know how to identify birds? On one trip, someone simply just put their hands in my hair and said that they were surprised that it was so soft. Do not touch people's hair. Please keep your hands to yourself and don't approach people with those questions. If you want to gauge where they're at in their hobby, or if they know where to look in an area that might be new to them, a less condescending line of questioning would look something more like, have you been seeing any birds? Have you been to any of these field trips before? Have you been birding here before? Or how long have you been birding? Assume that the people you're approaching are on the same level of interest and knowledge that you are until they say otherwise, and treat them with respect and empathy. If you were new to this hobby, how would you want someone to treat you? If you were new to the area, how would you want someone to approach you? Think of yourself before you go into an interaction. Truth does not change, only our awareness of it. That leads into point 2, being self-aware. Much like how different birds share the same colony, we are all different people sharing the same hobby. Self-awareness is important because of the differences in knowledge and culture, and you want to be able to acknowledge any bias you might have. There's been too many times that I have been part of initiatives that aim to be inclusive without considering the bias and prejudice someone might hold and how that can affect interactions. Um, Sometimes you don't know you have these biases, and when they come up, you're very confused by it, you're maybe like resistant to it. That doesn't help anyone. White supremacy and privilege place some people as experts and others on the bottom of that ladder. However, to use myself as an expert here, if we went to the Caribbean, how many birds would you be able to recognize by sight and sound? You would not be the expert in that area. If you go to someone else's patch, do you know the personalities, schedule, and preferences of each bird that visits? Everybody has different fields of knowledge. They have different wheelhouses that they can work in. And in order to build a successful community, we all need to work together and put those pieces together, much like you're building a little birdominium of several different apartments that all work together for a single purpose. When we show up, act boldly, and practice the best ways to be wrong, we fail forward no matter where we end up. we've grown from where we began. Number 3, how to be wrong. I think this one is a really big one to me. I do this sometimes. Being wrong is hard, especially if you're like out birding with someone and you're like, oh, I know what bird that is. It's a raven and it's a crow instead. You're just like it's a little your cheeks start burning. You're like, oh, I should have known that. I should have known it was this corvid and not that corvid. It happens. Even with all of the self-awareness in the world, you can still make mistakes. There'll always be the potential for conflict. It's unavoidable. Even the sociable weavers do not live in perfect harmony with the other species of birds in the colony. That tiny speck of falcon that I showed you earlier, they keep snakes away that would feast on the young of the sociable weaver. However, the falcons eat some of the young themselves. They eat much less than the snakes would, but they do it. And while that's not preferable to the birds, it is preferable that they have more young survive than they lose. We also need to remember that good intentions do not negate a negative impact. People always say impact over intent. Even if you like meant for something to come out softly, you meant for this question to land softly. If it does not, it's very important that you acknowledge that it does not, and you seek to work to correct that, to counter that, to do something to alleviate what happened. Knowing how to be wrong means you know how to accept that you've made a mistake and take the next step towards things. A life is not important except in the impact it has on other lives. And that's the biggest point here, support and collaboration. As we enter the 5th year, can you believe it's already been 5 years? Oh my God. The 5th year of Blackbirders Week, I want to point out a phenomenon that I've noticed since I've begun organizing Black-focused events. Our turnout is always great when it comes to our Black participants. Like there's so many different Black people in all walks of life who are into nature, who are into birds, and it's great. This is who we are highlighting and focusing on when we plan our events. It's for our Black participants that we're creating a safe space for them to interact with nature and birds and to talk in a way that aligns with our cultural background. But there's not a sign on the door that says Black people only. We are not locking out people who are not or do not look like us. The participation of our peers is always important, always welcome. But you also have to remember to treat it with the cultural sensitivity it deserves. In the space where we're prioritizing Black people, there might be things that we say or jokes that we make that you might not understand. And it's not wrong to ask a question about it. That's no problem. But you have to understand that this space, unlike the rest of the world, does not prioritize you. It's prioritizing other people. And you're welcome, you're invited, and it's important to get to know every member of your community. A common theme that I've noticed is people wanting more people of color and Black people at their events. However, when we plan these Black focused ones, they don't show up. How will you meet the people you want to show up for you if you don't try to show up for them? How will you have potential collaborators to pick through if you don't learn who they are, their interests and expertise through the areas they're events that they're holding? You don't try to understand their culture or where they're coming from. Instead of creating a comfortable space for everyone to share and thrive, it ends up feeling transactional when you only want to find Black folks or other people of color to collab with when you have something coming up. East Bay Regional Parks every single year has celebrated Blackbirders Week, and Ryan will drop the link in the chat with their schedule. And every single year, there's so many people that turn out, and it's really exciting and really great to see. And then later the question will come like, oh, well, if we have this other birding event outside of Blackbirders Week, will anybody else show up? Will we be able to continue to build this community? It's very important that when we do things like this, you show up not just to show your support, but to learn about the way that we look at things through our lens so that we can better be able to work together. The sociable weaver colonies are a hotspot of biodiversity. Their nests are like the foundations of animal communities in the desert. And that's much like how birding can be the foundation of community building for us. These birds go out of their way to offer insects to their neighbors when they have like fed their own young enough, and they successfully live side by side with other bird species despite conflict. They look out for each other when there's danger because supporting one bird means you will be supported later. While we as humans are not an exact comparison to these garish little birds, we can strive to learn lessons from all the communal nesters we love observing and learning about. Building community is an ongoing effort. It's a year-long effort. It's not just in this one moment, not just for Black Birders Week. I urge you to reach out and continue to try to understand the people around you who may not look or think like you. Um, I always try to keep my talk short. I hope this wasn't too short. Thank you. And I have one last quote for you. One of the most vital ways we sustain ourselves is by building communities of resistance, places where we know we are not alone. Bell Hooks. Thank you. Any questions?
Thank you, Chelsea. That was great. If you do have any questions, you can just drop them in the chat and we will share them with Chelsea. I love the Bell Hooks quote. She's always inspiring. There's a lot about. I just feel like there's like one of the intersections between the bird community and the environmental justice community and equality is the way that to me that nature helps us recover from the stress of our human society. You know, that need to take care of ourselves, that we all have, and that, you know, if we're going to fight the fight, for whatever fight we're fighting, that is that we have to take care of ourselves in order to be able to do that, whether it's, you know, environmental justice, social justice, protecting birds, all of those things. We have to be ready and prepared to show up, and we can't do that if we're, you know, feeling beaten down. And then going out into nature is a great way to lift your spirits. So a few questions. The first one is, what are your favorite places to bird in the Bay Area?
Ooh, that's a good question. I think my one of my favorite places was Land's End. I really like seabirds, and there's a lot of cormorants that come to the rocks there. So it's really fun to see. Every now and then there's a Brandt's cormorant, and it's exciting to be able to like spot that one Brandt's cormorant among all the others. I also like Hunter's Point, like Candlestick Recreation Area, I think it's called. It's really nice. It is in a Black neighborhood, which unfortunately means that the park is not as well maintained as some other parks in the Bay Area. And it's like you can see it when you're like getting into it, and it's sad because they have such a wide range of birds that you can check out at any point in time.
Yeah, it is. It's a little shocking to go to Candlestick and see how terrible it is. But
Yeah, and
the
it's
birds are
like
great. So
it's nearby a Superfund site too.
yeah,
So
yeah.
it's safe to visit, but the fact that it's like right there is kind of
Yeah. So there are, and Marita asked about, like, how do you find out about programs like that are intended for more diverse communities? And I would say that there are lots of places to find them. There are we're actually working towards. I don't probably It may take us another 6 months to get it ready, but we are working on trying to create a clearinghouse for um, for groups that are, I'm blanking on the word now. Sorry.
Affinity groups, Glenn.
Affinity groups. Thank you. I'm sorry. That word affinity just just decided it was going on vacation today. Sorry. Anyway, affinity groups, so that there will be more opportunities. So just, stay tuned, and you can also sign up for our listserv, GGBA chat. The listserv is a great place, and we share our information about conservation issues, programming. It's not a bird list, so it's not where you go to report your sightings, but if you want to find out about conservation issues, about birding opportunities, that's a great place for that.
Yeah, and I would say that like you can try looking at your local park pages, because that's how I found out that East Bay Regional Parks was even doing something for Black Birders Week. That's how I found out the very first time when I met up with them. So there are people who contact the parks and get their walks posted, even if they're not working for larger organization, they want to get it out there to people. Surprisingly, Eventbrite, some people will post things like that to Eventbrite. So just keep an eye out on those pages. Outdoor Afro does a lot of events across the Bay Area. And some of those or all of those are open to anybody who's welcome to come, or wants to come. And again, it is a space that is prioritizing Black people. So you have to remember to be respectful. If you have any questions, you can direct those to the trip leader, as they are the ones like trained to answer any questions you might have.
There's a whole bunch of great questions that just came in. And I'm going to start with this one, even though there's so many great questions here. Herb and Randy Long asked if like, where did your mother's interest in bird begin? How did you?
Um, my mother did not have a big interest in birds. She saw that I was interested in birds, so she like tried to figure out what the best way that I can, because I would ask her all the time. I'd be like, "Do you know what this bird is? Do you know what that bird is?" She'd like leave me with my grandmother when she had to work sometimes, and my grandmother would put sugar out for these birds that we have back home called banana quits. They're also called sugar birds because they eat a lot of sugar. And if you like don't put sugar out for them, sometimes they will like steal it. They'll come into your house and they'll steal it for themselves. So she'd put sugar out for them, and that was like that. I think the word is called spark bird. That was my spark bird, I guess. Um, and like I would just go on and on and on about birds and asking my mom like, what's this bird called and that bird's called, and I want to look it up online. But we speak Western Antillean Creole on my island in addition to English. So most, if not all of the names that she'd give me were in Creole, and I couldn't Google that because like American Google is not gonna tell me what this bird that I'm talking about is. So she got me the guide to help translate and to help be able to find them and find more information on them.
So I'm curious. I'm curious if it's still the banana quit, but another question is, what is your favorite bird in the Caribbean from Dominica?
Ooh, that's a really good question. I feel like every time someone asks me that question, it does change a little bit. Because sometimes it's the parrots, sometimes it is the banana quit. Sometimes it's like one of the hummingbirds. We have an endemic hummingbird. It's the blue-headed hummingbird. I love it so much. And then there's a regional endemic Antillean crested hummingbird, which is also really good. I'm a big fan of hummingbirds. So I think it's like one of those in that area.
It's been very Dominica has been on my bucket list, and I haven't been there yet, but there's
Everyone should go, is my personal opinion.
yeah.
It's one of the better islands. I'm not biased at all, I promise.
Well, it has great endemics. I mean, the two parrot species is that are still, I mean, they're very, very rare, but they're
Yeah.
still around. So that's amazing.
If you get to
Let's
see
see.
them, it's a lot of fun to see them interact with each other because they're usually in pairs, if not in small groups. So they're all interacting with each other, and it's a lot of fun to be able to see.
Katie asks, this actually I think is a great question, and I'd love to hear your take on this because I mean I'm interested in this issue too.
Mhm.
She's a staff member at SFSU, and she was interested in start getting a birding community started on campus. What's
Ooh.
your advice to making birding accessible to student as a birder and a student?
Yeah, as a student, I always would like give like a glance at all of the like signboards. Admittedly, I didn't like go to much other buildings other than the biology building, but at the same time, I would still like glance at the posters on there to see if there's anything interesting. And I know I'm not the only one. I'd see other students doing that. I think it's like, if you post those to the boards, if you send Giovanna or the other admin assistants in other departments an email asking them to share this. I think that would really help get it out to everybody and emphasize that this is a you want to create a community that's welcoming everybody. You want this to be a space where everybody can come and bird no matter the level of expertise, because that's something that terrifies some people. They really want to get into it, but they're afraid to because they don't know too much about birds. I led a bird walk at Hunter's Point, and a student from SFSU showed up, and she's like, "Yeah, I saw the email, and I've never been birding before, and I've always wanted to go." And it said like all levels of expertise welcome. So I decided to try it. Like that really reaches out to people and makes them feel welcome.
Yeah. Seems like we started a program called Bird Curious. That's exactly that, intended to be, an opportunity for people who want to explore birding but haven't yet done it, or just feel intimidated to go on one of our regular programs because they're going to be, they won't know enough. I mean, if you've been on one of our programs, you don't actually have to know anything. That most of our leaders are really good at helping, newbies and beginners and advanced beginners, learn and grow their skills. But and we always have that's our equipment lending library, so that people can borrow binoculars even if they've never used a pair before. So there we are really
Yeah,
working
I
to
thought
try
that was
and
something that's really cool about GGBA is that you have the loaner binoculars, which is great because binoculars are expensive. They're like one of those like barriers. I didn't get a pair until like the first Blackbirds week. But before that, I was just like out here. It was just me and my eyes looking at the birds. So it's nice to have that option. If you can to Katie, if you can like work with an org or like try to email an org like GGBA to like plan your walkthrough, if it's possible, or like attend one of their walks, that's a good way to get like loaner binoculars for people who don't have them. Additionally, if you're just planning something on your own and you want to like tell people about the location, it's always great to go see it yourself first and see how accessible it is for everyone. Like for example, like Hunters Point has like paved sidewalks, so if you use a wheelchair or some other mobility assistance, then it's like very easy for you to be able to bird while using those.
Heron's Head is another good spot for birding for that reason, that it's very accessible, and there's great birds there. Um, so I thought someone wondered about that also. But any other questions? It seems like we're running out of questions here. Uh-oh. We answered that question. There was a question about the if you've asking if you've ever attended the Mono Lake Bird Chautauqua.
What is that?
I haven't attended it either, but Green, who's here, is a regular attendee, and it does sound like an amazing program. I hope that it is good at build. I think it's the idea is that it was intended to build community also, um, and that it's a long weekend of birding and speakers and lots of fun. Um, so maybe next year I'll go. Um, all right.
I
Well,
I'm
actually
gonna
have a
have to
quick
check it
question.
out. It sounds
oh, Ryan has a question.
Yeah, just 'cause I was thinking, you mentioned it's the fifth year, right, of the Blackbirders Week, like organizing events and stuff. I was just curious, like you've been in it since the beginning. I'm curious if you could share sort of learnings that you've had since organizing those programs. Like, if there's like, I don't know if you're seeing over the years things change or yeah. or
Yeah.
yeah, I was just
And
curious if
thinking
you can
about
like
it
share.
now, yeah, since it started in 2020, that was the first year. I guess it's technically 6 years because 2020 counts as one. Sorry. I did too much math working on my thesis. Now my brain has stopped doing math. Um, yeah, so in the beginning, this is not something that stopped, but we've gotten like a little bit less of it. We definitely got a lot of like racist emails and comments. And we've learned that like a good way to deal with it is to um either give a firm response or to just like ignore it. It kind of sucks to say that you just have to ignore it sometimes, but some people just want a reaction out of you. And instead of giving them that reaction, you just go through with the event that you have planned. One of the things that we've done to keep ourselves safe is to add a lot of stop gaps in how you have to sign up for certain events. Instead of just saying that you can just like sign up and show up and here's the address, there's several emails that you have to get and respond to before you can show up. Because sometimes you get like a bunch of bots replying to it, trying to take up all the spots for the event, or people who just want to sign up really quickly and find out where it is, just so they can try to disrupt it. Another thing is that like not as many places are as well versed in how to include other people and as well versed in their own diversity initiatives. They've started them, but they don't know where to go from that. They've like okay, this is our diversity statement. This is what we'd like to do, and then they don't know how to implement that. And I think at that point it's really important to, like I said, like do the work, go out and meet the people that you want to be part of your event. You can't wait for them to come to you. In our case, we are trying to make this event reachable for everybody, so we are reaching out to people, but that's like a one-off thing, happens 1 week in the year. What about the rest of the year? What about making people part of things the rest of the year? You have to try to find a way to reach people. Um, when you advertise your events, you know, don't just say like, "Oh, this is our event. We hope to have lots of people there. We hope to have a diverse crowd." Go out, find other events, go out, have members of your org go out and meet people and talk to them about your organization. And then you can have people come in from having heard about it from you. Um, there's something about like having people talk to you about an event, because I heard about the fellowship, I think like over an email the very first time, and I was like, oh, okay, all right. And then I met someone who actually did it. And they like told me, it's like, yeah, this is what the experience was like. And I feel like I became such a much better birder. It was really supportive. It was really diverse. It was great to be there. And having that like one-on-one, having someone who was able to like talk to me about it and bring me in was much more effective than just the email. The email's a start. It's a great start. Some people will show up from the email. I'm I'm a person, I compulsively check my email and I'll be like, cool, more email, and I'll close it. But to take things a step further definitely is worth like reaching out and going to out to those communities that you hope to continue to include in the work that you're doing. Also, have like multiple Google Docs if you're planning an event, especially if there's like lots of people that are editors. You need multiple versions because someone's gonna at 3 a.m. someone's gonna delete something. You're gonna lose you're gonna lose something. Um I can't tell
That's
you how many
a hard-learned lesson, huh? Hmm. That's probably good advice for working on a master's thesis as well, right?
Yes.
Have lots of copies. Uh, all right. Well, if are there
Timestamp.
any more questions, Ryan? Do you want to any questions you can think of? This is a great
No,
conversation, and
yeah.
I hope that you've all found it interesting and that learned a little something to take it back with us. I think we all of advice to everyone, and that we should all be looking at how we can build our connections, and build our communities and really support each other. It's gonna
And I do just want to add that I hope that you take my presentation as a starting point. This is how you start to build that foundation. It's not where you end things. There's so much more that you can do. There's lots of reading that you can do on your own. You won't always have someone to provide you with all of that information. Sometimes you have to take the initiative and go look it up for yourself. You have to have that motivation. You can't always like expect someone to do it for you. If this is something you truly want, you'll be able to do that easily. And always challenge yourself and promise yourself to listen. I know that some people have a really difficult time when I ask them not to speak to me a certain way or not to approach me a certain way. They're very resistant to that. Take the time and listen to what people are telling you and how they want to be treated. It's so important that you treat everybody with the respect and empathy that they want in the community.
great. It's a great lesson and a great place to start. I agree that we're all as I said, we're all works in progress. So we all have to keep trying and learn how to make mistakes and correct our own mistakes. That's great advice for everything that we do. So thank you, Chelsea. It's a real pleasure to have you here with us tonight, and I look forward to seeing more of your art. I wish I had an easy access to our Birdathon logo, but if you haven't seen it,
I actually put it on the last slide if you want to share it with folks who are still here. Because I thought maybe you'd want to share it.
Yes, I did want to share it. I mean,
yeah. That's on me for not having included that
it
piece
should have
too,
been
Chelsea.
sooner.
So.
Yeah. All right, wait, I'm going to share my screen here. Where'd it go? Where's the
Yeah, it's a beautiful logo.
I've gotten so many compliments. So many people have told me how much they love this one. So I'm really. Here we go.
There is a secret second version that's a different color.
I think it's a beautiful pelican. I also love the way that I like that you see through there so that you can see the fish, and but I love the idea that it's a stamp. It's so this is it's really special. So thank you, Chelsea, for that. That was
Thank you. I'm glad everybody really likes it. If GGBA doesn't mind, I might post the secret second version. That's the brown pelican. On my
Absolutely. I'd love to see that. Yes, that's
This
great.
pelican has personality.
Yeah, it does.
It does. I enjoyed making it. I love making art. And I am planning on a tea-related bird collection soon. So
Ooh.
follow my Etsy so that you can get it on that.
All right, everybody. Thanks for coming, and we will hopefully see all of you next month to learn about the Delta. All right. Good night,
And
everybody.
some of you at the bird walk, hopefully. We'll see you there.
Yeah. All right. Good night, everybody.